They're opinions. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. They're just ours. This is my opinion list. Everybody else has their own. We've been saying this enough where it should be stated. Just don't be, you want to disagree with me in the comments, by all means run amok. Just don't be dicks to each other, because that just shows how little of a dick you have, especially if you're a female. Anyway, on to this glorious list.
This year for 31 on 31, we're covering creatures like the classic xenomorph, Predator, Jaws. Oh, and Brian somehow included critters.
Cool.
Anyway, here's the most 2020 edition of 31 on 31. Yeah.
Hello one, hello all. Welcome to this third annual 31 on 31 in the Halloween spirit. Although if you've been paying attention to 2020, this is also our third 31 on 31 in 2020. Listen, the year's been weird, so this isn't so special anymore, especially with this list. So for a lot of these franchise gathering lists in the past, there's been a lot of stuff that was great, that I felt like we were towards the top. It got really hard, and it was some bad, son of a bitch, mostly and then some 5 to 7 to 10 rather difficult movies that could arguably be first on anybody's list. This is the first time that thought process has flipped for me. I'm going to read a couple of movies near the bottom, and if you want to argue that they could be the worst movie out of the lot, you're not going to get much struggle from me. This is a very, very bottom-heavy list. I don't want to insult anybody who are fans of the series, except you, Brian. You did this to all of us, you murderer.
Check this out, man. I got these burgers, man. They some double cheeseburgers.
As always, joining me, doing the exact same thing on their channels, Brian of Brian Lomax Movie Talk. Links will be down below. Cody of Cody Leach. And Sean Chandler of Sean Chandler Talks About doing it again with us. It's great to have the great handsy Sean Chandler on board. I can't tell you how excited I am, because he brings all of his hands and excitement, and he's the polar opposite of me, because you could put his shit on mute and get an idea of just how he feels for a movie just by watching what he does with his hands. So at the very least, 2020 has some flair this year. All right, enough delay. Here we go. My number 31 is Jeepers Creepers 3. And again, I didn't say it this time, but I'll say it again now, but I've said it in the past. This list is my preference. I'm not saying that this list 31 to 1 is quality. I'm not grading these on quality. I'm grading these on the CP preference. Do I think Jeepers Creepers 3 is the worst film of this bunch? Technically speaking, probably not. But everything else, yes. What a bizarre. 31 to 1 is the worst film of this bunch. Technically speaking, probably not. But everything else, yes. What a bizarre. 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 What a technically Jeepers Creepers 2, when he had everybody trapped in the bus at night, that was pretty intense. A little too many topless boys for my taste, but Jeepers Creepers 3 is so silly, and I hope, as I record this, I hope I have some visual gags that I was thinking about in watching this, because I just couldn't take it seriously. Jeepers Creepers 3, to me, to the Creeper character, is like what Halloween Resurrection is to Michael Myers. This is probably what you all expected. For good reason. It's Jaws 4, The Revenge. How a shark holds a grudge is you know, that's an interesting story to sell. And then they got Michael Caine for this. How could so many decent people be in such an awful, awful, awful movie? The original Jaws, they had issues and they refused to show the shark. Well, they didn't refuse. They didn't show the shark because they were having problems, and it actually made for a better movie. This one, you know, just stop showing the shark. Please stop showing the shark. I don't know. I think they just thought owning a name meant money. And
back and to the left, back and to the left.
do you know how to avoid a vengeful shark? You don't go in the water. This is pre-Sharknado, mind you. Number 29, Critters Attack. In fairness to the film, it is a cable film. It's a sci-fi production. A second year in a row that we have a made-for-TV movie on this list. I could pile on for it being shitty TV movie-ish. Go ahead, write your own jokes. What I'm going to do here at 29 is I'm going to give a positive, and that is the puppet work. It seems like a lot of the things that were done in this film were not CGI. For the most part, it seemed like it was puppets and real effects and you know, actual people doing stuff. It seemed like those things were there and being controlled and puppeted. And I want to use another word but puppet, but I just don't have it. Killer Flicks member. That one's for free. Let's leave it in. Fuck it. Number 28 is Critters 4. Every year we figure out like what our plans are as far as stuff like this is concerned. And Brian brought up Critters really early. And I don't know how, because if you do math, Brian represents 33% of the outfit. But somehow we're ranking Critters. Somehow we ranked Psycho last year. This is really bad, like really bad. And again, any interchangeable, all of these still. You can catch me at the right mood. This could be 31. I guess what I could say is Critters 4, you should thank your lucky stars that Critters Attack exists, because it's at least an argument for the absolute worst. Why is this such a beloved franchise? I understand I'm probably going to get hate. This just isn't my deal. I'm not really a small creatures kind of dude. When we were doing this, when we were planning this, And the first thing that came up and we all agreed on was Alien. The path that I saw was something far different. And then Predator came along, and I saw something really, really exciting, and I thought we were going in places that could be one of those 26 out of 31 movies are really genuinely good. And then Critters was the next thing that came up. And I'm living the moment that I worried about. 28 is Critters 4. I don't want to shit on the series too much for fans' sake, and just stay tuned for the Autopstream debrief, because Brian's going to get it, I would assume, from both Cody and I. Thanks, Brian. Number 27 is AVP, or Alien vs. Predator, or Aliens vs. Predator, Requiem. Now, what should that tell you about the movies I've listed before this? AVP Requiem was shot with the lens cap on. That movie is so dark. If there's things that you like about that movie, please let me know what it is and what happened, because I couldn't make much out in that movie. Dark, strange, like an actual departure from Alien versus AVP. I'm not even gonna try it. AVP Requiem was a bit of a departure from AVP, and it was contained, and I don't know. I figured the next step from AVP would have been to expand and like really, you know, have a bunch of xenomorphs and predators just fucking Earth up. But no, we got this tiny, dark town with what's her tits from 24, if you could make her out.
I'm afraid you're just too dark.
Number 26 is Jaws 3, or Jaws 3D, Jaws 3, whatever you want to call it. Those movies relied heavily on the whole sight gag and 3D and whatever. I'm sure that it looked great and people were wowed by it back in 1980. How is it? But high definition makes this stuff look awful, bad. You're supposed to have the 3D stuff like it sticks out. It's a little noticeable, but some of this stuff is just overt and obnoxious. There isn't much to it. Again, it's a movie that leans on the 3D gimmick, so the storytelling suffers, to put it absolutely gently. Number 25 is Critters 3. There's a Leonardo DiCaprio movie in this year's 31 on 31. I'll give him credit. There's times where it looks like he's genuinely trying to act. That's where the credit ends. I don't know the importance of bounty hunters. They gotta keep going back and forth to Earth. Hey, how about you just do your job and kill the fucking things at once? The worst bounty hunters ever. And that Charlie dude, fuck, I don't, I mean, in part 4 at least, they go to space. So there's that. Who the fuck cares about small town USA and little doofy ball things? Like these movies came out after Gremlins, and they do the same stupid shit. Like I'm not scared of them. Am I supposed to be afraid of them? Is it supposed to be a fun time? Is it supposed to be for kids? Because in part 2 there's there's a rack. There is a large-breasted woman who forgets to cover those breasts. So, I mean, not that I'm saying that is the make or break moment for a kids movie, but I don't like. Who are these movies for? And why did they keep getting made? Although I guess Critters 3, thank you very much for getting made, because without Critters 3, we don't have Inception. Can you fucking believe that? Number 24 is Jaws 2. Is padded to all fuck. It's 2 hours long, 2 hours plus long, and really padded. I have a much different idea of the Jaws franchise as I did coming into this. I don't want to do 31 on 31 anymore, because it's ruining how I memorize films and things that I thought I loved. And I thought I liked Jaws 2. Turns out I don't. Hanging out at SeaWorld. You think they'd be able to do stuff like that today? The Jaws movie tried padding their story with drama. I think I literally forgot the ending already. It was that boring. I was in and out, which doesn't take much to get me fading from a movie, but Jaws 2 is so padded. 2 hours plus to tell a story that, shit, I can't even summarize it in 5. Cut that movie in half, for fuck's sake. No. No. Number 23, Critters 2. This is one of Brian's favorite movies. Yeah, so the bounty hunters from part 1 fucked up and forgot some shit, and Charlie, the dude from the first one, is with them. He's like an honorary deputy. I don't know how the fuck he breathes in space, and we'll forget all of that. Just don't even worry about any of that shit. They come back to town, and Podunk, Nowheresville, USA, is trying to forget the events of Critters 1, and when the kid comes back to town, he's a bit of a celebrity, and the local news girl wants to interview him and follow him around, and then, oh, what do you know? The critters are back, and they're doing more critastic things. And then the bounty hunters come back because they fucked up and didn't finish their job, and for the sake of fuck it, one of the bounty hunters morphs into a playmate. Just tits. Here's tits in a movie for a couple of seconds. Cute gag with the staple. I'll give credit there. One of the dudes morphed into a playmate who was a centerfold and had a staple in her chest, much like me. I didn't have a good time with this. I had a far better time with this than I did with 3, 4, 5. I don't know what that's saying. These movies aren't for me. I'm just gonna lump these all together. I remember how many, countless nights I would walk past this movie and Ghoulies. Ghoulies, which the cover always just grasped me. That there was this little green dude sticking, he was just hanging out, sticking his head out of a toilet. As far as my intrigue was, a ghoulie living in a toilet. Anyway, let me rent Friday the 13th Part 6 again. Number 22 is Alien Resurrection. There's quite a few decent actors in this movie, including what may be Ron Perlman. This is the Cult of Chucky of Alien. It needed a cleanse, and this was the idea train hitting a wall. Sigourney Weaver, who had died earlier, was now a clone. And ask anybody who watches the Resident Evil franchise how much you give a shit about that lead character who's a clone.
What is?
Yes, Pennywise is a fantastic character. Tim Curry does a knockout job with that character. Problem is, there's 3+ hours wrapped around that character that are weak. Oh, wait a minute. This is our second television film in this list. Recently tried to rewatch the first half, the children's half, which is supposed to be the better half, and that was a chore. This is the second time in about 3 years. When I was in Denmark, we tried getting through it and couldn't get through the first half. Most people agree that the first half is the better half of It 1990, and I think it's boring. It leans so heavily on that Pennywise character that I don't know if it weren't for Pennywise, I could bump this 6 spots, maybe more. I don't know. This is a weird year for shitty movies because there's a lot of shitty movies. Is it shitty? No. It's boring. It could be done better. TV movie, so cut it some slack. A waste of a brilliant Tim Curry performance. Although some of you will argue that's enough. That Tim Curry performance is enough to hold you over. And I can certainly see that viewpoint and wouldn't really argue it too much. But when you're watching 31 movies over the course of, what was this, 2 months? Some of it gets repetitive and boring and shitty, and It 1990 was, I mean, I knew what to expect with Pennywise. I forgot to expect 3+ hours of fucking woof. Number 20, and a tip to all you homosexual filmmakers out there: if you're going to take the reins of a franchise on and make a homoerotic version of that franchise, it's got to be part 2. I'm basing this on 2 films, by the way, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and Jeepers Creepers 2. That's it. I will say fair play, because there's a lot of topless boys sunbathing on the school bus in this movie while the women smoke in the trees. The men are sunbathing and the women are smoking in the trees. The film, we're going to stick with the film as much as we can here, has some pretty badass moments to it. It's more than one scene, but everything that happens with them locked in the school bus makes this movie, other than a rather incredible school bus scene and some I mean, I'll give you this. Freddy Krueger is a little gnarly with his tongue in a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, so why not have the Creeper be a bit of a weirdo with his mouth? That's the best kind of horror, when you're really kind of skeeved out by the bad guy, villain, director. Number 19 is Predator 2. The premise is unique. If you put this movie on and nobody tells you what the movie is for about 20 minutes, you'll think you're watching the wrong movie. It's very, very, like, it's almost like RoboCop or some futuristic from the 80s cop action drama for a while, and then you have Predator taking place in the city. Not the worst idea. It's my least favorite Predator movie, which is going quite far considering how some people feel about Predators, the Predator, all of them. Predator 2 is my least favorite. Also, I've watched it the least, so I don't know. Didn't really grow on me again. So, Danny Glover. It Chapter 2, if only because of how well It Chapter 1 did, and the expectations were just insurmountable. Perhaps unfairly, I'm ranking It Chapter 2. We're like in the middle now. And we've passed the holy shit, this movie could be the worst thing. But at this stage, we're on to okay. That's what I would call these movies. And again, it's just my list. If I'm saying stuff that's burning your asshole, by all means, let me know. And only me. Don't mess with each other in the comments. Long story short, It Chapter 2 just felt like it just didn't stick the landing. Some great performances. Bill Hader, I thought, did a great job. Jessica Chastain, I actually kind of, who I'll defend her for many other reasons, but you know, she did okay. I've seen her do way better. But other than that, it just really kind of felt pedestrian, just trying to strike while the iron's hot, and you fucked it up. And that ending, I'm not a fan of it. Number 17, we're going on a sequel streak. This is our 4th consecutive number 2. We must have a lot of Mexican in our system. Gremlins 2. Again, what I'll say, the perfect summary for this list is CP watches 31 movies, and about 20 of them have drastically changed in his opinion due to being a grown-up in age only. And Gremlins 2 is one of those movies that I had a really good time with a couple of times. And it could be the fact that I was fresh in the middle. I tried my best to not binge anything, and tried to divvy things up and you know, break the monotony of all these franchises. But watching a Gremlins movie in between Critters it's the same shit, only different. Gremlins 2 is a little bit too much for me. The tone is comedy. It is a comedy. We are here in October doing our horror thing. Thank God we picked creatures. Man, I would really hate to be talking about a film like, I don't know, like Terminator right now. Actually, come to think of it, there's a bunch of movies on this list that aren't very Halloween-y. Thanks, Brian. I don't mean to undermine my partner, but this could have been the Hellraiser year. This could have been the Wrong Turn year. Fuck it. Number 16 is Alien 3, or Alien to the Third Power. I don't, whatever the fuck. What are we doing? What is that? As much as David Fincher disowns this movie, I don't think it's that terrible. There's things that happen in the beginning of the movie that are certainly unforgivable. My brain works, it really does, I swear. But the film is certainly passable. It gets certain things done. I'm dying to know what Fincher's like. What would Fincher's cut look like? We're getting a Snyder cut of Justice League. Why not get a Fincher cut of Alien to the Third Power? Not as terrible as most people make it seem, but there are some taboo things. But in this list of 31, it's right smack dab in the middle as far as this asshole's concerned.
Number 26, we've got the original Friday the 13th. Basically a Halloween rip-off, very low budget film which was cashing in on a particular vibe at the time. Basically a rip-off, cashing in, rip-off, cashing in, rip-off, cashing in, rip-off, cashing in.
Number 15, Critters. A film about podunk small town USA that gets visited by little furry ball things that are aliens and have a real taste for chairs and fabric. The odd thing is, as a human, I didn't really feel like they were in danger or threatened. Just keep feeding them couches. What's the problem? Again, this feels like, I don't know, a family movie. If you need to put something on that's a little scary, and I do mean little, and a little sci-fi-ish. There's Critters. It's a perfectly vanilla B movie. This is not A-grade material. I would argue it's a little bit lower on the B tier end, but the world needs these movies too. And to all you Critters fans, I apologize. This just doesn't do it for me. I would like them slightly more sadistic, like a lot more sadistic. Number 14, AVP, Alien versus Predator, Aliens versus Predator. Yet another movie that just says, our timeline, fuck them, we're doing this now. And I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it for the sake of the movie. Okay, there's this great big temple in Antarctica, and it's where the predators plant eggs of the alien, or tie up the alien queen to lay eggs, and that's their American Gladiators type deal. Okay, and then you have humans fuck it up, and now we're just getting in the way, and that movie is basically what I would have expected of it. Could have been better, could have been worse. Shit, it's not Requiem. I can make things out in that movie. This is the hardest 31 I've ever had to do, and I'm on serious medication. Number 13, and this is a movie that skyrocketed since I watched it. The Thing 2011, short of CGI that's just a bit too much, is an okay movie. It's the same thing with a lot less of the distrust, and I think it passes the Bechdel test, so there's that. A little more progressive. The Thing 2011. I don't know how many of you guys are gamers, but I've been playing Call of Duty way too much in the last couple of weeks, and you know, I saw a helicopter going down, and here, enjoy what all I could think of was, but brilliant. When I watched it, it was a double feature, The Thing 2011 and The Thing 1982, and it rolled smoothly. That's pretty badass. But why name it The Thing when you have a film that takes place after it titled The Thing? Number 12 is The Predator. No, The Predator. I know, gasp, shock, horror. I enjoyed the most recent entry into the Predator franchise. And you can say everything you want about me and the tone of Critters.
How you doing?
You know, you just said eat your pussy.
It balanced humor and action horror fairly decently enough. I bought that these guys just, you know, they're a little fucked in the head and they joke through pretty rough times. I do stuff like that, so fine. I didn't find that to be too much. The third act probably could use some work, but I was already in. I was 2/3 of the way, enjoyed it. The landing, a little bumpy on the landing, but I got off the plane, so I enjoyed The Predator. I really quite did. Number 11, Gremlins, and this dropped. Whether or not that's due to Critters is one thing, but I don't like cute things movies. This is a lot more, you know, this is, again, another family movie that, I don't know, this is a Christmas movie if you ask me. It's a fucked up Christmas movie. You put this in your Nightmare Before Christmas, your Die Hard, your whatever. You put this in that pile. This ain't a Halloween movie. We're really fucked up this year with the Halloween-y themed stuff. Gremlins, it's Gremlins. It's Gremlins. You know, don't get water on it. And don't ask questions about the time thing. Just midnight. And eventually that gets lifted. Just go with it. Just go with it. Phoebe Cates is in it.
Basically a rip-off, cashing in rip-off.
Number 10 is Jeepers Creepers. The opening act with the chase, the truck chasing Justin Long and what's her other person. That was awesome. Witnessing him dumping bodies from a distance, that was cool. Really neat stuff. But we're at 10. We're at number 10. 31 on 31. Yikes. Number 9, Alien Covenant, or Prometheus .5, or Aliens 4-ish. I enjoyed the movie. I was glad to see the Prometheus story get extended. Little disappointed that this movie tried to please everybody. In its totality, it didn't really please anybody, but I don't know. Are we getting a third one? Because that would suck if that Prometheus, that David storyline doesn't get finished. Good movie. I appreciate the advancing of the Prometheus story, and David is so far perhaps one of the best villains of the 2010s. And I'm not kidding. Number 8 is Predators, another movie that a lot of people are kind of about, but I enjoyed the flip-flop of this. You have a bunch of people from Earth brought to this planet, and they're trying to figure out why and what's going on, and they're being hunted. But the catch is that they may be able to handle themselves. Cool premise. Really cool. And then Lawrence Fishburne was in the movie. Could have done without that. I'm glad that we're this far away from it, because that we all float down here, that was obnoxious for that entire summer. Really good movie. Jump scares. If anything, the jump scares were the one thing that I thought were lacking and kind of milk toast. And the fucking that I don't know. Is that the new thing in scaring people? Fucking shaking like I don't know, Uber Tourette's. I what the fuck? The story was fantastic. You know, it literally felt like it was Stand By Me, but instead of them just, you know, walking along train tracks, some fucked up shit happened, and they were finding things out about some fucked up shit. I had a really good time with It, Chapter 1. I couldn't carry that over into It Chapter 2, though. Number 6 is Jaws. I know some of you might be throwing shit, leaving, clicking off. Another one that, after a certain amount of time, I thought I had it a lot higher than I did. It's a brilliant movie. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we're from here out, these are all 4.5 or 5-star movies for me. Jaws just happens to be the one I'd reach for the least. You know everything there is to know, except that shot that gets called the Spielberg Jaws shot. That is a Hitchcock or a trombone shot, a dolly zoom. Stop giving Jaws credit for that shot, you jerks. Number 5 is Prometheus. A lot of people don't like it, a lot of people don't get it. I thought it expanded on that alien universe, and oh man, I really wish we had just gone in a completely different direction with that. But no, we have to keep showing things that people are familiar with, because I don't know, American movies. Look, it's the thing you recognize. Remember? But Prometheus is brilliant start to finish. Every time I watch it, I feel a little bit stupider, but I have such a good time with that movie. Theorizing with it with anybody that I get to talk to is quite fun. A doggy bag movie, if you will, something that you're talking about on the way home or well after you've seen it. That's Prometheus. Prometheus is a really good doggy bag movie. Number 4 is The Thing, 1982. If we're doing effects work, this is number 1. It's not even close. I would even say watching it, which I recently did, watching it on a double bill with 2011 kind of makes it a bit more fun, a bit more entertaining. But you know, there's only so much you could say about these movies at this point in time that hasn't been said 1,000 times already. Kurt Russell was a dish back then. I bet you won't hear anybody else say that. Number 3, Predator. or Predator, believe it or not, when somebody asks me about my Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, it's Predator. Not Terminator, not Terminator 2, not True Lies. I love Predator. Predator is like 3 different movies at once. It's horror, it's action, and it's war. It's a bunch of different movies, all at different times, and they like they segue in and out of these things, and it's just a brilliant time. Another movie that probably isn't Halloween-y, but how much of this list is really? Number 2 is a number 2, and it's Aliens. Infinitely quotable. The Queen Alien is just fucking incredible. Everything going on in that movie is awesome. Aliens takes Alien and you know, takes a step sideways and turns it up to 11. Understandable if this is somebody's number 1. This is just a bit more action based, but I have these in a virtual tie, which will get me right into number 1, which is Alien. This is a horror list. Alien is a horror movie. It is a stalk and kill, you know, a borderline slasher, and fucking just nails it. Really, they don't make movies like the last 4 or 5 movies I just talked about like this anymore. And Alien, I'll watch, you pick the version. There's so many different versions of that movie, and I'll watch any of them. Really, really fantastic time. They need to do something with that series and keep going. Spin off if you need to, or finish the Prometheus stuff. Alien is a franchise that should be going still. Not Critters. Critters had a recent release on Sci-Fi Network. So, what say you? How did you feel about this list? What is your ranking? Let me know down below. No, in all seriousness, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching. If you had a decent time with the video, clicking the thumb would help me out. You could help me out even further, and click that subscribe button and the bell, which you can now customize to get what type of versions of my videos you'd like to see. So you could totally trick out your WILIscredia experience. And if you really, really enjoyed what you saw here and like to contribute to future content and get exclusives, there is the WILIscredia Patreon page, which is patreon.com/WILI. We did it. Another year down. We're running out. Can you tell? We're running out of stuff. I've been CP. You haven't. Shout out to the patrons. Have a day.